All right, let's just set aside everything you think you know for a minute. We are about to dive into one of the most incredible and powerful stories of our time. We're talking about the phenomenon of Donald Trump.
So, where do we even begin? I think we have to start with the one question that still has so many people scratching their heads. How does a guy who's famous for putting up these huge, shiny skyscrapers in New York City, how does that guy end up becoming maybe the most famous and definitely the most controversial politician on the entire planet? It's a heck of a story. Really, it's a story of transformation, kind of in three big acts, and it tells us a lot more than you might think. So, let's get into it, right from the very beginning.
Okay, so the story doesn't start with politics at all. Nope. It starts with business, a whole lot of ambition, and of course that very famous last name. Long before anyone was even thinking about the White House, Trump was busy building a totally different kind of empire.
So, he gets out of this top-notch business school, right? And he doesn't just, settle into the family business.
No way. He aims straight for the big time, Manhattan.
And here's the key thing. He got it early on. He wasn't just selling apartments. He was selling an image, a lifestyle. The goal was never just about the buildings themselves. It was about building a brand. And bam, in 1983, with that huge, shiny golden Trump Tower, he literally stamped his name right onto the New York skyline. But it wasn't all a straight line up. Not even close. For every massive skyscraper that went up, it felt like there was a casino project that was about to collapse. The 90s were especially tough for him. We're talking about some really public, high-profile bankruptcies that could have completely destroyed the brand he'd worked so hard to build. It really became this cycle of huge successes and massive failures. A real boom and bust kind of thing that honestly would define his public image for years to come.
Okay, so at this point, he's a famous businessman, for sure. At least in New York, everybody knows who he is. But how do you make that leap? How do you go from being a New York guy to a global celebrity? Well, the answer is pretty surprising. It didn't happen in a boardroom. It happened in a TV studio.
Think back to 2004. There were these two words that you started hearing everywhere, in living rooms all over the world. You're fired. That little catchphrase from his reality show, The Apprentice, probably did more for his fame than any building he ever built. Just like that, he went from being a New York real estate guy to a global household name. He became the symbol of the tough, no-nonsense boss.
And look, The Apprentice wasn't just a popular TV show. It was a genius career move. This wasn't just entertainment, not at all. You could call it a masterclass in personal branding. The show very, very carefully built this image of him as the ultimate decisive leader. And that image? Well, that would turn out to be incredibly powerful down the road.
Okay, so this is where the story gets really wild. I mean, truly unpredictable. He's already conquered the world of business. He's conquered television. So what's next? He set his sights on the biggest stage there is.
So picture this. It's 2015, and he comes down this golden escalator to announce he's running for president. Pretty much every political expert at the time just laughed it off, right? They thought it was a joke, a publicity stunt, but he had this super simple four-word slogan that just sliced right through all the usual political chatter. It was all about nostalgia, all about promise, and it became this unbelievably powerful rallying cry for millions of people.
And his campaign? It was like nothing anyone had ever seen. While everyone else was spending millions on traditional ads, Trump's playbook was totally different. See, he understood something fundamental about the 21st century. Attention is the real currency. He used his fame to get endless free media coverage. He just broke all the old rules. He talked directly to people who felt left behind. And he didn't position himself as a politician. Nope. He was the outsider, the only one who could come in and just tear the old system down.
And then it happened. Against pretty much every prediction, he won. And his presidency? It was just as wild and unconventional as his campaign. He basically took the traditional political rulebook and tore it to shreds from the moment he took office.
Those 4 years were just a whirlwind. Constant motion. He moved super fast on big policy issues. We're talking major tax cuts, ripping up and renegotiating trade deals, completely reshaping the courts. But what was just as important as what he did? It was how he did it. He kept up that outsider strategy, using Twitter like his personal presidential megaphone. He would drive the entire news cycle and talk directly to his supporters, totally going around the traditional media. His time in office was also just full of these huge historic contradictions. On one hand, he becomes the only president in the history of the United States to be impeached not once, but twice. And yet, in that very same single term, he pulls off this massive goal for his party. He appoints not one, not two, but 3 justices to the Supreme Court. That one thing, those appointments, will probably shape American law for decades to come, maybe more than anything else he did.
So when you put it all together, what's the legacy? How will he be remembered? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the craziest part is, the answer is completely different depending on who you talk to. It feels like there's just no middle ground at all.
And really, that's the heart of it, isn't it? For his supporters, he's the strong leader they've been waiting for, a voice for the person who felt ignored. But for his critics, he represents a genuine threat to democratic norms. And these two views, they're polar opposites. They tell us something that's not just about one person. They're like a mirror, reflecting the really deep divisions that exist in our world today.
So in the end, this story is so much bigger than just one man. This incredible, almost impossible journey, from real estate guy to reality TV star to president of the United States, it really does hold a mirror up to our time. It reflects our media, it reflects our politics, and yeah, it reflects us. And maybe the biggest question of all is what that reflection really shows us about the world we live in today.